What's good, everybody, and welcome to episode 17 of Shaking the Damn Table. I'm your host, David, and I'm joined with John and Amyna. And I got a very special guest today, my boy Derrick, my coworker, Team Hibbits. You know what I'm saying? Recently married. This is my homie. Yeah, man. It's beautiful. Tell him about yourself.
What up, y'all? Derrick, David's homie. Felt like the homie since day one at work. You know what I'm saying? Hoop together, chill together, sip together, so we all good.
Hey, that's crazy, man. Hey, man. And you can't find him anywhere. So, you know, he had nothing to say. Low-key, that's how we all need to be. Yeah, man, but we have a great topic today, so we're going to jump into the move of the week.
All right, so the move this week is a play by a black woman named Sherna and Phillips called Double X. So it's an all-women play, and it's a multicultural choreo poem, which is just a play of poetry and choreography. And it's 7 women of 7 cultures. And they're doing a tour, so they'll be here Friday, June 28th in Birmingham, and then the next day they'll be in Atlanta, and then the next day they'll be in Charlotte. And the tickets are $20, and also they got some Birmingham artists to be the opening act for it. So they have a hip-hop artist, Just Vibe, and then Queen the Poetess.
Oh yeah, shout out Shelley. Shout out Jess. Yes, definitely got to pull up on that one.
So yeah.
Okay, nice. Yeah, make sure if you got some time, definitely make sure. And what's the business talking about, John?
All right, so the business of the week is going to be the Unfiltered Podcast. We actually went on their podcast. It's a girl named Victoria, Tori G on your radio. You probably heard her on 95 and 98 Doing Your Weather. She has a podcast with her friend, Miss Ashley Nicole. We went on there last night, had a good time, had a good conversation with them. It was very, very, very fun. It was very hilarious. I think y'all get some gems in there. Y'all need to really check it out. It'll probably drop on Monday tomorrow, so y'all check that out. But you can follow them at the Unfiltered Podcast _. So they just talk about just go in there. Basically, I kind of like to think like we go there. They kind of got their own way of taking it there too. So no filter, unfiltered. Hence.
Right.
But, anyway, go follow them. Check us out. Check them out. My bad. I'm tripping.
Yeah, definitely.
Check us out on there.
Yeah, check us out.
Yeah, definitely shout out Ashley and Victoria. So, and if you're looking for another podcast, I'm always looking for new podcasts to listen to at work, especially because I need it to get through it. So yeah, that's definitely one to check out. But we're on the trivia time now. I got some good ones. I'm gonna shake y'all up. You know what I'm saying? Y'all ready for this?
It's been a little minute.
Yeah, man. Y'all gonna be rusty with these questions, man. I'm telling you,
I feel rusty already.
I was up late finding these, man.
All right.
But yeah, it says you have your cards A, B, C, and D, and in the order I read the answers will be the order of the A, B, C for the questions.
Gotcha.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. First question: how many states in the U.S. do not recognize Juneteenth?
Whoa.
That's a great question.
Right. Very timely. Very timely.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Out of the 50 states, is it 3, 4, 5, or 6?
I just.
Okay. And Derrick's ready with his.
All right. Sure. Let's go.
Okay. Everybody good? Okay. 1, 2, 3. We got B, we got C, and we got D. The answer is B.
Let's get it.
4. Yeah. I was actually very surprised. I was surprised. I didn't. I know all the states weren't included when they first. After the Emancipation Proclamation, there was there were states left over. But it's Hawaii, Montana, North Dakota, and South Dakota. So if you visit there, they
Catch up, y'all.
right.
It's so behind.
I'm tripping.
Right.
I'm like
North and South.
Come to the table, please.
Join us.
North and South Dakota, so basically, if you go there, you ain't gonna show you no love in June. Those are the homes.
Yeah.
So is what it is. But this next question: how old was Phyllis Wheatley when she became the first female African American published author? 12, 25, 30, or 40? Phyllis Wheatley. 12, 25, 30, or 40? That's what I was hoping for.
I'm ready then.
Okay. Y'all good?
Yeah.
All right, let's see them. I got D, got B, and got D. The answer is A. Got
Hey,
She recognized late for everything, so
Right.
it's assumed.
Exactly. That's a good train of thought. Yeah. She was 12 years old, even more impressive. You know what I'm saying? 12 years old, man.
Shout out Phillips.
I don't know what I was doing at 12, but it wasn't.
Yeah,
Wasn't writing a book.
Right. And I read a little background, like, you know, she got taken from her home at like 8 or 9, and
that's when she grew up.
Right, and like moved to Boston, and that's when she became. But they taught her how to read and write though, so it was kind of like y'all took her, but at least y'all gave her opportunity. It was weird. I don't know. But,
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that was pretty dope. But this last question, this is a really interesting one for the X-Men fans out there.
Hey.
You know what I'm saying? So, okay, it's a true or false question. I just realized. Okay. Was Dr. Charles Xavier and Magneto were they inspired by African Americans? True or false? We can just make this A or D.
I was about to say.
Yeah.
Were they inspired
by African Americans? Charles Xavier and Magneto. Were they inspired by African Americans?
Okay.
True or false?
I think I'm ready.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. Cool. Let's see it.
Yeah.
I'm glad y'all told me that. The answer is true. The answer is true.
All right.
Very interestingly, which I never knew, Charles Xavier and Magneto were inspired by the Civil Rights Movement, and the characters were to mirror civil rights activists Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, respectively. They were meant, and Stan Lee said they were meant to emphasize the conflict of people who felt that we've got a lot of work to do together and find a way to get along, and the people who feel we're not treated well, therefore we're going to strike back with force. So that was an inspiration by creating these characters. I thought it was super dope.
I think I may have heard some of that one time, and like mutants are kind of like black people.
Right. That was the concept.
I never watched it, but I wanted to watch it because I knew that.
Yeah. Martin.
It's interesting.
Yeah,
Shout out Stan Lee, rest in peace.
Right. He makes it even more dope. You know what I'm saying?
Man, Stan Lee, thank you.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Yeah, Martin was Charles and Malcolm X was Magneto. I can see it.
Yeah, that's
right. So, yeah, man. Look, I'm glad we got y'all warmed up.
Who won?
Oh, yeah, who did win?
I got 2 right.
I got
2.
You won.
Oh, I guess I won.
Nah, man. You know what I'm saying? Those are low-key tough.
Yeah,
I got wrong, just saying. But, but we're going to jump right into this topic, man. You know, especially with being the month of Juneteenth and all that. I thought it was good to talk about like history and, you know, like the history, you know, and it's the history we're taught versus the history we learn. And as you know, a lot of times we learn, most of the stuff we really learn, the facts and the truth about life, is not been taught to us, and it's not been like, it's been covered up basically, honestly. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to start off with like the education system, because that's ultimately what we have, where we learn what we know now. And I just want to describe, like, y'all describe the school system you grew up in, and then specifically like the history classes. This can be from elementary up to college, just like the type of school system you grew up in, and what you were taught during all that time. Anybody?
Well, I've moved around a lot, so.
Okay.
Okay, dang.
We can start off first, like what school you went to, and then how was the history class basically? Like what they focus on? Basically?
So when I was up north, I was in like more white schools, but they were like really mixed or whatever. So I don't really remember like, and plus I was before 2nd grade. I don't really remember like how their mindset was on that or whatever, but like I didn't get like a sense of what history was for real until like later on being in Alabama.
Right.
Though the only, not from like school point of view, because coming down here, like my dad's pastor of 16th Street Baptist Church, so like that got me into like knowing history and everything, you know, to be what white people versus like black people in history and in America. But I don't feel like I got a lot of teachers who like actually taught black history. It was more so of like, let's watch a video. Of course, you watch Fred Martin, Selma, like Lori. We watched like people put on videos to compensate for that. Now there was like a couple of teachers at Epic that taught like different little facts, like every now and then to us and everything that like did that, but like it wasn't in the curriculum or nothing like that. And there wasn't a lot of people who like actually knew the history. I was correcting teachers and stuff in high school, and they was like, oh, so you want to teach class? Like, do you need me to? Because you're not doing it, so.
real.
Yeah.
But most of the stuff I learned was from like my experience outside of school.
Yeah.
I guess for me, I really don't remember a lot, honestly. But I just specifically remember learning about like how Christopher Columbus discovered America, like discovered America, like no he didn't, but you know, and just learning about learning about slavery, but not really revealing the real truth of it and really how what really happened,
Messed up the way.
you know, and so I don't know. It's just stuff like that is just kind of when you look back like that why. And honestly, growing up in Alabama, we got so much Black history anyway.
Period.
That wasn't really talked a lot either.
It was so
You know?
under wraps.
Facts.
And I don't know. That's strange to me, but
That's real. You went to Vestavia, right?
Yeah. Grew up Bush Boulevard right off of Arkadelphia. But ultimately went through the Vestavia school system, and it's predominantly white. And I think when I was in school, maybe 10% as a whole that made up everybody else that wasn't white. So Black, Hispanic, Asian, whoever else. But we definitely didn't get any kind of focus on Black history. And during Black History Month, I remember this vividly because I was like, man, this seems like a lack of effort. During the morning announcements, the vice principal of discipline, which was a whole nother story.
What?
A whole nother story.
That is
Anyways, that cat would come on the microphone, the speakerphone, whatever, and give us one fact,
Oh wow.
and then keep it pushing. That was it. That was Black History Month.
Wow. That's crazy.
But yeah, I mean, we did have some teachers though. I had Black teachers and white teachers. Definitely like dove in, gave us deep lessons, you know what I'm saying? But that was really, one out of maybe 12, 15 teachers I had. So
It's hard for it to stick.
yeah, it's hard for it to stick.
Right.
Of course, you got your parents telling you everything about what happened in Birmingham. My folks, my pop's been in Birmingham his whole life, so get that Birmingham history, Black history, but he definitely didn't get it like as a whole at Vestavia. Yeah.
Right. Oh yeah, most definitely. I mean, I definitely grew up in the Homewood school system. You know, Homewood Middle School, Homewood High School. You know what I'm saying? Live in Homewood, so it was. And then also growing in a African household, like I already have a different twist on Black history there as well. You know what I'm saying? Because they taught me African customs, and but I went to school and learned white history. You know what I'm saying? Or what I'm saying? So like it wasn't. I didn't really even know. I didn't even know the Black culture yet. So when I finally was older and was able to get exposed to hang out with more Black people and actually see the Black culture and what we sacrificed, I was like, it's all connected because they're from the motherland. You know what I'm saying? Directly, I realized this is all connected. Like why did this seem like it was two separate things? You know what I'm saying? That's kind of how I grew up with it. But yeah, in Homewood, it was it was 99% white, and it wasn't history class just talked about all the wars, Civil War, all that stuff, all the wars we won. They never talked about the details of the Black side of it and what we sacrificed for America. I never heard any of that. It's the whitewash story. That's basically.
I forgot to say who I went to school with. I went to Jones Valley Middle and then Ramsey High School. But surprised, I guess not really surprised. Really, it was taught the same thing.
Yeah.
About the wars and Civil War. I don't care about. But just I didn't learn enough. You learn for that 1 month of Black history and then that's it. It is strange, really, because we contributed so much. We really should teach Black history year round, But that's another topic. Anyway, go ahead.
I mean, I agree. Like you said, when watching we used to watch Black history movies, and it was always it wasn't it was never the focus, but it would be for this special treat, we're gonna watch this Black history film. It's not a special treat. This ain't no treat, bro.
This is our off day.
Right. They rolled in the AV no treat, bro. We supposed to know this.
Right.
Boy, you know what I'm saying?
It's I don't feel like teaching. Here you go.
I used to get turned as hell though.
Oh yeah.
Yes. My friend Martin again every year. Yes.
And we got numb to the fact of well, not the fact. We didn't know what we were lacking, or we didn't know that we should have been yearning more for actually what that was.
Yeah.
So we just took it for what they gave it to us as a break.
Right. Because like they made white history the norm, and then the black history was just a break from it. When really this is just as important as that. It's all is rooted.
Break.
It was. Shoot, teacher hit the back, feet up.
Right.
It's Black History Month.
They let folks go to sleep if they want to. It don't matter. It's Black History Month.
Don't worry about it.
No homework.
Right. Don't.
Besides the doctor.
Right. It's like I really do wish we could go back and like be, you know what I'm saying, as passionate we are about our heritage and our culture now. I really, part of me feels like, you know, we were like robbed of it. You know what I'm saying? Like robbed of the access to the knowledge of it. And it's just based on how the world works. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of just messed up. Because why like, I know like that's they just want to tell us the pretty part of the story. Like America was the history we learned was always like the conquering and you know, the strength of America. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like America is great because it's used. Everyone else has built it up.
Immigrants have built this country
from the ground.
Period.
And they don't get nowhere near the rights they deserve and like that. And there's just not, like I said, there's no, like, I know like the counter that I've heard to like, you know, we think it should be taught year round, but then like I've heard like, well, then white history should be celebrated monthly. What are y'all like? How?
That's every month. It's literally
everything we know.
Look at these books again.
Knowledge. Where is it? Nowhere. To be fair.
Core, like what? Like everything we know is white history. So y'all don't feel appreciated enough. You know what I'm saying? Like that.
It's never good enough, man.
It's just another side, another viewpoint that, you know, if you don't empathize with people or at least attempt to, you're only gonna view everything from your side. That's it forever. So until people put it in your face that you're not accustomed to seeing, even people that you're close to that love you that actually put this information in your face, you're not gonna take it seriously. So that's where we are in America. We're doing better now.
Yeah, definitely.
It's just a strange climate right now, but it's a lot of in your faceness going on right now. So that's a good thing.
Facts. It's like I know, like for a fact, like when I was growing up, and like now that I think about it, I'm like my parents were like straight up from Africa, so like I was always just like confused, like why wasn't I taught more of the African history and like just Black history? Because like one thing I know, I'm not speaking for all like African families how they raise their kids, but like when a lot of times when Africans come down to America to relocate and start a new life, they pick up the norm. You know what I'm saying? Like they follow, like how white people teach things. They follow that example.
Assimilate.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what everybody does.
Because they feel that's the best way that we're gonna be able to fit in. But actually, you're robbing someone of like their identity and their culture. You know what I'm saying? I know you're trying to protect us, but I was just like basically I was never taught it, and I was like, but you directly from it. It's just like I never really understood that.
It's easier, like what you said, protection. I mean, if you're not out there like reaching for the, not saying it's unattainable, but the knowledges that people put like stigmas on to where you'd be looked at as like, ooh, he's looking for this type of knowledge right now. They wanted to shield you from that. That's all. That's all.
That's true.
And what allowed them to prosper themselves so you could prosper, you know? They couldn't just come over here blasting Africa.
That's fantastic. That's a good point.
You got to go to the night school, you know what I'm saying? Eat good every night, you got to do those things because they kind of played the balance game.
Yeah,
real.
Definitely believe they saw how Black people were being treated over here.
Right.
And it was
you can't miss it.
You can't have your child growing up, and you gotta protect your children. You gotta do what you gotta do. And that's probably what they did. They did what they had to do.
I'm imagining like them raising me as this Black Power activist, going to school and saying those things. You know what I'm saying? That was a time where when we think about it back then, like when I was like I was young. Like there was. Africans weren't necessarily in the States as heavily, you know what I'm saying? Over the years, like our presence was more, but like I remember back then, like most people thought like Jamaicans and Africans were the same because like there wasn't enough of either one of them. So it was just like, oh, that's Jamaican, like It's just like
Put y'all in the same little pool.
Right, exactly. But it was, you know what I'm saying, that was a time where like we weren't really, you know, Black history and all that stuff wasn't embraced and like popular yet, where we took that power back. So it was, you can't really just go around blasting, you know what I'm saying, like that.
Well, I think even like Black Americans do that with their kids and everything. The ones who make it, you know, and feel like we were talking about yesterday on the podcast, even a little bit of like, you know, after Reconstruction era, of like the ones who felt like, oh, we made it and we can like go on and forget slavery and forget where we came from and stuff like that. They assimilate right into what white culture is trying to, you know.
That's real.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm happy like we're breaking that now. You know what I'm saying? Like we're not accepting that anymore. That's like where I feel we came a long way. But definitely want to switch gears. When it
Got deep.
Right. I was gonna ask like, so what are some of the most surprising things you've learned about Black history that you never were taught before? Because I know, you know, like I'm talking about like on social media, there's so much stuff you learn on Twitter. Just like, I'm like, how do we never hear this? You know what I'm saying? Have y'all learned anything in the recent years like about just Black history that you never knew nothing about? Because I got a lot of examples, but I just want to see, well, you know, anything.
I didn't learn about Juneteenth until last year on Twitter.
Wow, me, same.
Last year on Twitter is when I found out about Juneteenth. And that was just, what?
And I felt bad. I was like, bruh, like,
what?
I'm Black, I didn't know
I
this.
never knew this. I don't get how you exclude that. That's something very important. Like, and then we also need a day off. Y'all get off the 4th of July. We need off of Juneteenth. That's bullshit. I'm just playing.
Paid vacation. That's part of the reparations. Thank you.
Matter of fact, let's go up a little bit. Paid vacation.
I can see the uproar now. Why can't we be off too? Like,
wait, they are off for 4th of July.
Plenty of holidays.
True.
Oh, you talking about on Juneteenth? Oh, no.
He said, no, y'all gotta
It's just for us. Yeah, y'all gotta clock in that day.
Yeah, it just goes like one of the biggest things like that, like, you know, I just feel like when it comes to us embracing like ourselves and wanting to, you know, discover more, get more power within ourselves, like it becomes like we're against, you know, white. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, we just trying to reclaim our time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So like, I don't. That's what I don't. We're just making for lost years, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying?
It's not bad to want to know you.
Yeah, because y'all, they know them.
Yeah, exactly. We know them.
Yeah.
We all know you. We all know them. Kind of happiness. You can never know yourself, but you get to know all about us. Like, how is that? I don't understand. Those are some of the things that confuse me, man.
Anything y'all discovered?
Anything?
So like, well, the one thing that I did discover recently was Memorial Day. That I was like, oh, because I don't really care about, I didn't ever really care about like war stuff or whatever, or like veterans. I don't even agree with anybody of color being in the army, so you know, that's my. But other than that, most of the stuff like I got from being like in the Civil Rights Institute and everything, but that was like outside of school, which is not, but yeah. So.
I got one thing. I'm not sure this is gonna further the Black culture in any way, but I think it's a cold fact. Harriet Tubman had brain like surgery or something like that, and she didn't want any anesthesia or anything like that. She opted to bite a bullet, because that's what the soldiers did, like when she was performing raids.
Wow.
Biting bullets during medical operations. I said, Harriet Tubman, you so cold.
Man, put her on the money, man.
Yeah, give me my Tubmans.
That's what I'm saying. Put on 100, up to 20. Put on 100.
Right.
The mental, she had more mental toughness than I even realized.
Man,
That
what? That's crazy.
She carried us on her back, bro. She was LeBron, bro.
It's like, let's ask the clickbait, bro.
The trailer. Harriet Tubman was LeBron there. But yeah, definitely going to Juneteenth. For those who don't know, you know, it was the emancipation of the last enslaved people in the U.S. You know what I'm saying? There were still, they made, like, we all were led to believe the Emancipation Proclamation freed everybody, but there were still remaining people. So that's basically what it is. June 19th, 1865. So yeah, learning that last year was crazy.
Yeah.
So that was definitely one.
We got them at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely, man. Definitely.
Shout out to the Black Twitter specifically.
Yeah.
Right? You ain't gonna learn on regular Twitter.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I got a couple that just like that stand out that just like blew my mind. Like, I mean, I never knew. I mean, okay, as far as Rosa Parks, I never knew she was we always learned she was the first to sit down. She wasn't the first. There were several women before. Yeah, several women before her, including Claudette Colvin. 9 months before Rosa, sitting down launched the Montgomery bus boycott, but she was only 15 when she did that and said no, I'm not giving up like that. You know what I'm saying? I never heard that. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Well, they don't show what we learned, because I learned that during the institute. They didn't put her on the front line because she was pregnant at the time.
Yeah,
and they thought that she was more combative.
Right.
And so
that doesn't look as good as an
right.
elderly black woman trying to be strong.
Yeah, and she was already part of the NAACP and everything.
It's
so
just smart marketing.
Yeah, really.
That's all that is.
Yeah.
It's just
strategic.
Come on now, we're the strongest candidate.
It's just like, we're gonna take detail out and push that. I mean,
hey, that's how the world works.
Right.
They had to play the game, basically.
Hey, don't believe the news.
I'm with it.
The news is whatever they tell us, so you gotta do your homework. Next one, of the 12.5 million Africans shipped to the New World during the slave trade, fewer than 388,000 arrived in the States. So out of the 12 million, only 388,000 arrived in the States. So the number of minorities that represented America in the beginning is a lot smaller than people realize. You know what I'm saying? We're the minority today. That's because we started with less than 400,000 total in comparison to everyone else. You know what I'm saying? When there were millions of slaves, where they went?
Ocean, other places in the world. You know what I'm saying? Those people were trying to make that money, not selling slaves. That's all they were trying to do. We were a commodity, not a person.
I thought that number was so low. It was just how is it that low? Out of millions, but right, that was one. You already know about Cowboys.
Oh yeah.
1 in 4. It said 1 in 4 Cowboys were black back in the day, and right. Django Unchained, great movie. Bass Reeves, created that's what the concept of the Lone Ranger came from Bass Reeves, which was a slave who escaped the West during the Civil War and lived in what was known as the Indian Territory. And never heard that. I know, our influence is so
We made
deep.
country music, bro. It was the first country star, bro. They tried to take country music from us.
That's why I love Old Town Road.
Shout out Lil Nas X, man.
Just for the hell of it.
We made country music. We made country
Yes,
music.
bro.
Yes, we made every music.
We
did everything.
I'm so rooted.
Everything.
Our roots are deep.
Jeez.
How can you not? It's just it's basically, it's a simple concept. If you do something, don't you want credit for it?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's just a simple concept. Everybody wants credit for the work they do.
If not the compensation. So reparations. Thank you.
Reparations. That was crazy. First licensed African American female pilot, Bessie Coleman.
Oh yeah.
I just learned about the Wright brothers growing up. Period.
Yeah.
That was
definitely.
As I was like,
Wright brothers, they made the plane.
They made a plane. Everybody else after that flew a plane. It was just Wright brothers. Wright brothers, White brothers.
I was like, we know y'all did it, but they did it.
The White brothers are the Wright
Yeah.
Someone probably got that as a motto somewhere. And one, this one was one I really didn't know. Africa's original name. I didn't know that it was not always called Africa.
Really?
Yeah, Africa's original name was. Right, that's New Africa. New Africa, yeah. It was the original name of Africa was actually Alkebulan, Alkebulan, and it translates as Mother of Mankind or Garden of Eden. It was changed to Africa by the Greeks and Romans.
Huh. It means what again?
It means Mother of Mankind and Garden of Eden. That's literally what that is the original name.
Dang, the answer. Jesus. Wow.
They just changed. I don't know. I didn't really why they changed it, but basically, the Greeks and they were white and they changed it for whatever reason.
That is very easy. Did y'all know that?
I had no clue that was a thing. But
I did talk to the table, David.
We shaking it, man. Hey.
I talked to a brother from Cameroon.
Okay.
He said they changed, not a lot or often or whatever, but they changed the countries, not countries, what is it? Places' names all the time.
Yeah.
To change their narrative, I guess.
That's true.
Because these places get marked by so much violence or whatever the negative is, and then they change the name hoping that'll make it
Is that
better.
why they be having like the Republic of and stuff like that?
Huh.
That might just be a this mine type thing. This place is mine.
Right.
This is mine.
Republic of me.
Right.
So what is the true name of anything, man? Like, who created anything? Like, I'm just like, bro. Like you had said, Memorial Day. Just to shed a little more information on that. Many Union soldiers were being held prisoner in a converted race course. At least 257 of the captives died because of horrific conditions, and their bodies were discarded in mass graves. Later, a group of black workmen dug up the bodies and reburied them to properly honor them on May 1st, 1865. So that's where Memorial Day came from. And over 10,000 people, recently freed slaves, black school children, colored soldiers, and their allies held what is called the first Memorial Day parade. So that was rooted there. Like it's just crazy. I'm just imagining them doing that for themselves, and you know what I'm saying, like with all that oppression, like it was just like.
Right.
But instead, it got commercialized as a day for barbecue and 3-day weekend, day off work, lemonade barbecue,
Unhealthy food. Here, go kill yourself.
right. So, right, yeah, pork is
Not good for you.
not
good for
not
you.
good.
But bacon is awesome.
But it is. I don't even know more though. But yeah, man, that's fucked up.
And even, right. And then, like you had said, we were just talking about food, like going back to soul food, like how they, soul food is what black people like to eat, what we grew up making. No, that was not the history of soul food. It was like it was built on like the discarded pieces and like the bad food
Scraps.
that we just made. We made taste good and stuff like that, and it just carried. But but soul food is not necessarily healthy, as we know.
Right.
But they make it seem like it was a part of us.
It was forced to be a part of this.
Right. What you gonna do with something that don't taste good? You gonna make it taste good.
Make these
Right.
chitlins.
I don't think anybody went for the intestines first. Yeah, we're gonna get those.
Facts. Never had chillin' in my life. Never will.
Wait, I'm sorry.
Hey,
I'm sorry.
y'all had
Things
chillins?
are the shit.
Hey, I'm with you. I'm with
had
you.
chitlins?
With some hot sauce, some more. Yes.
The hot sauce is the top.
Bro.
You need it.
Okay.
Need
Bro.
it, okay?
I don't eat them no more. I don't eat them no more. But
It's been a while because I've not been in a situation where I've been able to get it.
Where do you get chitlins?
I only eat them
Family,
on
bro.
Thanksgiving. My uncle makes
real?
them in Atlanta. Yes.
Where you get them?
The store.
What
Walmart. What are you talking
They
about?
just say chitlin?
Yes.
I ain't never
Chitterlings. Just don't get the red bucket because that's like boo boo. Like.
All of it is.
But then the other ones come pre-clean.
Ah,
Yeah, and then you clean them again like 3 times over.
Yeah, you got to.
Man,
Just
team
clean me.
chitlin gonna be honest.
Clean me.
with us.
Clean
They'll be
it,
like,
bro. You clean it. Anyway, how do we get on chitlins, bro? Hey.
Soul food.
So-
So, bro,
right,
it's all
right.
so good.
I mean, I just wanted to know like what it tasted like. I just didn't know what it was like.
Tastes good, bro. I don't really know how to explain it either, though.
I don't know. It's just good. Throw some hot sauce on
You
there.
gotta compare it to like
It just
chicken or
don't
something.
even look-
I can't.
Huh?
I
Just compare it to chicken or something. Like I need
No, it's just chitlins,
You don't
bro.
even put it in like a
It
sauce,
tastes like
I will.
chitlins.
Calamari that's not fried,
Okay.
but it doesn't taste the same. Texture-wise,
Texture, yeah.
that's
I mean, I
the
love
closest I can-
calamari,
Yeah,
so
that's what
I'm
saying.
expecting
That's the
calamari.
closest I can give you, bro.
I feel that.
Calamari.
It's not
You said go in with no expectations. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just try it one day, bro. I promise you.
I ain't gonna
So
do it.
against this.
Bro, I'm never gonna buy it.
This whole
So
conversation.
You're gonna be somewhere, somebody, grandma cooking or something, bro. You're gonna
And
have a
I'ma
chance to
smell
try them. Okay, look, get over the smell. It's stank.
Yes.
It's stank.
And they smell better when cooked, but it's not great.
Yeah,
But they
it's
smell
not
better
great.
when cooked.
that goes against like what you like to eat. Like usually when you eat, you smell your meal. It like smell good.
You are correct.
It's
You're not combating anything that's factual, but you
What's the benefit? Like I'm just
It's just like eating it.
Fire, bro. Y'all sleep, bro.
put a
Never
Drop
do
some
that
chitlins.
southern. I'm sorry.
Got chitlins.
Y'all gotta understand, like, I mean, yeah, I didn't grow up like, eating, like, we didn't have like cookouts, black cookouts eating soul food, stuff like that. Like, we did, my mom just like made African food, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So when I grew up learning like soul food, I was like, oh, this stuff good, but I didn't know that that's what people grew up on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I didn't grow up on that, so completely different culture. But I love it though. You
It's
know what I'm
good.
saying? Love being black, you know what I'm saying?
Shout out soul food.
Yes.
It's a movie.
say a lot.
Hey,
I'm black and I'm proud.
Get you some soul food today. But yeah, like I definitely felt like we dived and talked pretty well as far as covering like discrepancies in education, and I highly encourage. You know what I'm saying? Like people like who want to know more about themselves, their ancestry, seek out the knowledge, you know what I'm saying? It's all there. Literally, you can Google it, it'll be there immediately, you know what I'm saying? The stuff that you're never going to hear if you watch CNN, Fox News, none of that.
Right.
You're not going to hear none of that stuff. And, it's just seek knowledge for yourself. You know what I'm saying? Knowledge is power.
We gotta find a way to put it in our schools, man.
Yeah, you're right.
We need black schools.
Yeah. I wonder what kind of history class is being taught in LeBron school. I would be very interested.
I bet they're very diversified.
Interesting. I know
I bet
LeBron
that
is putting all resources to make sure.
Yeah, I bet that curriculum period is
Yeah.
all over the map.
Probably.
But a lot of essential stuff that's all over the map.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
I
kind of wish I could go back in time. Bro. I kind of wish I could go back in time and go to that school. It looks fun, bro. They be having the time of their life in that school, bro.
Dream school or whatever.
Yeah. Promise, yeah.
That's what it is.
Well, their dreams become true, so it works, bro.
Hey, yeah, it's in the motto.
Yeah, man. Just gotta find a way to put it in our school, that's all.
Yeah.
Definitely. So obviously, to highlight, we're not knocking the other history.
I'm knocking out.
I'm knocking the lack of our history in the
knocking the exclusion of black.
Because it's a part of history. That's my only problem with it. I don't necessarily. I mean, I'm not going to go back and learn it, like reread the old history that I learned. You know what I'm saying? I just wanted it to be included because
I don't care about none of your history. I swear to God. I'm sorry, I'm mad.
I feel you. I'm only going.
Y'all wouldn't have none of this history if it wasn't for us.
Right.
Hey, I mean. You're entitled to how you feel, but black history is history. That's all I gotta say about that. You know what I'm saying? So
agree.
Educate yourself. Knowledge is power. We'll see y'all next week.
God bless.
Peace out.